Okay, guys, this one is for high entertainment value. It's from a report from a couple of weeks ago about the state of California. It's going to be a dumpster fire come November. And I'm going to tell you why. They are going to have one heck of a situation to deal with when it comes to the gubernatorial race. So you know that California has the most environmentalist leftist wackos, okay, in the entire nation. That's where the leftist of the most left, they live on the left coast. That's why it's on the left side of America. But what do you think would happen to the state of California if they ended up with a Republican governor? Now, the crazy thing is the majority of people, they aren't having it, but it's possibly going to happen. So I'm going to let you watch this video, then we'll react to it. This is from Ashley Zavala, who was one of our own from the state of Missouri. She went to the Mizzou School of Journalism, one of our own. And back when I had one of my businesses called Gadget Gurus, I had a phone repair shop. Ashley came and she did the news story and my commercials for my Gadget Gurus business. So that's how I got to know Ashley, who I am so proud of because now she is at the top of her game. And I'm going to tell you what, guys, she's going to be a nationally known name if she already isn't, you know, at this point. So anyway, let's listen to the video and then talk about this situation that the crazy folks in California are about to put themselves in. And by God, you will not believe this. So let's check it out.
Would you consider this democracy in action or a very divided California Democratic Party? When it comes to the California governor's race, California Democrats right now are in a very mathematically risky situation with concerns that too many Democrats on the ballot in June could translate to 2 Republicans on the ballot in November. California is one of the only states with a top 2 primary system, meaning that regardless of political party, the 2 candidates with the most votes move on to the general election in November. California's governor's race is crowded with Democrats. As we reported a couple of weeks ago, the California Democratic Party did not endorse a candidate because the field is wide and delegates couldn't agree. So that brings us to this week when California's Democratic Party chairman Rusty Hicks put out this open, very public plea to the lower polling candidates to basically get out of the race. And Governor Gavin Newsom, who for months has been saying he wants to stay out of all of this, said that he agrees. And the lower polling candidates basically said no. Former State Controller Betty Yee, San Jose's Mayor Matt Mahan, former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, they all filed their paperwork to run on Wednesday, the day after the party chair issued this letter. The Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, filed his paperwork that same day on Tuesday, basically saying that party leaders want all of the candidates of color to drop out. And he basically noted the leading candidates are all white. That's Congressman Eric Swalwell, billionaire Tom Steyer, and former Congresswoman Katie Porter. But really, what are the chances in a state where Democratic voters out-register Republicans 2-1 that this scenario where people would have to pick between 2 Republicans for governor would actually happen? California elections expert Paul Mitchell has this data tool, this simulator that shows the possibility of this outcome. As of tonight, it was at 27.3%. Within the coming weeks, we're expected to see more groups, more politicians speak up. Governor Gavin Newsom, who literally on Monday told reporters, "You know I don't talk about this governor's race," said the next day that this is something that he's paying attention to. He signaled he may intervene within the coming months.
Okay, wow, what a train wreck. Okay, so anyway, you can look up Ashley Zavala, Zavalaa, on Instagram. That's her handle, and she's also under KCRA News. That's the news agency that she's with that has gone statewide. They're in 7 major markets in California, and I'm telling you what, she's going to be the next big one to go nationwide. So thank you for that, Ashley. But can you imagine? Think about this. California is the woke state. They're the left state. They're where all the environmentalist wackos, the open borders nuts, the we live on stolen land dingbats. That's where they all live. They always tease the black people and tell them, we're going to give you all reparations. And then they turn around and say, well, we started the fund, but we didn't put any money in it. Now, consider all of that. And what did they just do? You heard it in the story, they told all the black candidates, they told all the black candidates to drop out. But this is the woke state. Can you even fit that in your head? They're so woke, but here they are trying to get all the black candidates to drop out of the race. So what's going to become of this? Well, if they don't get it together and if they don't start dropping out, yeah, the Republicans are going to take over. And when I first heard the story and when she said that after telling them to drop out because you're going to end up with a Republican, none of them said, we're going to comply and drop out. I laughed. I laughed so hard I had to clutch my stomach. I was doubled over laughing. And so they're going to go headfirst into the situation into the fall where only the top two candidates end up on the ballot. That's how California works. They let everybody run. That's their primary. And then they cut everyone out and leave the top two, and they have a runoff for the top two. And then they vote again. And then that person that wins the runoff is the next governor. And so the math says that, okay, if you've just got two Republicans running, you got 10 narcissistic Democrats that refuse to step out of the way, well, then the Republicans are going to be the only two on the runoff. So one of the two of them will end up being the governor over a state that is majority leftist Democrat radicals. Now, the House and the Senate in California is run by the leftists, okay, who govern all of the crazy leftist wacko liberals in the state. And you're going to have a Republican with everything else from the left. So what's going to happen? Well, that means absolutely nothing is going to get done in the state of California for the next 4 years after that election if these numbskulls don't wake up and decide to start dropping out of the race. Now, you would think that they would wise up and say, well, yeah, we can't risk this. But they're so self-centered, they can't come to that decision that doing what's best for the general population is more important than focusing on oneself and doing what's best for the individual. Now, I think what is best for them is to have a Republican governor because they're going to turn the whole state into a third world country. It's going to happen. You already see all of the big corporations are leaving California. Why? Because they want to tax them. They tax them, and they also allow the illegals to flood in, and then they want to hand them everything on a silver platter. Give them free health care, free emergency services, welfare, whatever you want, we're going to give it to anyone and everyone throughout the whole world. So it's basically turning the population into slaves. They're the worker bees, the slaves that have to produce the money that the government takes away to hand over to people who come there illegally. But hey, whatever, if that's what makes them happy, then so be it. But the country is going to turn into an SHIT hole. Now, it's not just because they're running all of the corporations out. It's also because of the fact that we're finding out that California, not MinniSomaliota, is the #1 fraud state in the United States. Did you see the story that was put out there by CBS News where they pulled their own version of what's his name that busted, Nick Shirley. They pulled their own version of a Nick Shirley and they went to this building that had a cluster of companies that were supposed to be hospice care. Come to find out, none of them had any employees, none of them answered the phone, and there was nobody in the offices. So there was like, 50 or 100 some odd companies set up in one building alone, and in one area you had 500 different companies in one city? You don't need 500 hospices in one city. And the majority of them are committing fraud. So they had to clean up, and then they made a bunch of restrictions, but they left 60% of the ones that are still fraudulent, still left them in operation. So instead of competing with MinniSomaliota that we know is responsible for about $18 billion of fraud, California is probably going to be north of $100 billion. That's pretty bad. So I hope that the rest of the big corporations leave the state of California. I hope they get a Republican governor and nothing good happens. I hope they come to a standstill because they're spending our money and it's not fair. It ain't fair at all. So they're headed down a very dark road, a very, very dark road indeed. And it's just going to punish the state. It's just going to punish themselves because they can't decide that taking kickbacks and making these crooked connections is more important than honesty and spending the taxpayers' money wisely. That's not in their set of values. You know, they'd rather raise, hundreds of millions of dollars for the homeless and then not house a single homeless person. So they spent, over $100 million on the homeless, and there's more homeless people today than before Gavin Newsom, Greasehead Gavin Newsom, before he even came into office. Man, oh man, it's bad. It's really, really bad. So it's a self-feeding monster. As time goes on, the fraud only gets worse. And now they're going to, I guess, lead themselves down a pathway to ruination. Oh, and they're also going to end up with probably $15 a gallon gas. Because I think Chevron, who's the next big company that's going to leave the state of California? There's one other refinery that's going to leave. We've already had two big ones that left, and I think a third one is about to leave from what I'm hearing in recent news. And we'll talk about that more too. So imagine that. You have over $100 billion of fraud going on. The homeless population is going up. Everybody lost their houses in the Palisades and they won't let them rebuild. Okay? You're going to end up with a Republican governor and you're going to be paying $15 a gallon for gasoline. Doesn't get any better than that. You would think that people would wake the hell up after all of that, but no, I don't think so. I think it must be radiation. Something is causing massive brain damage for the people of the state of California because they just do not learn, and they probably won't ever learn. What do you think about all of that? What do you think the chances are that they end up with a Republican governor? And would you stay in the state of California once the prices hit $15 a gallon for gasoline? Let me know and post it in the comments below. That's all for this one. I'm out.